The movie starts off on the planet Samaras, where we see Mills, his wife Alia, and their daughter Naveen on the beach. Mills and his wife are talking about the 2-year space exploration on the spaceship called Zoic and how Mills will tell Naveen about the trip. Naveen has an illness they cannot afford to pay for, and so that is why he is taking this expedition. During the Zoic's flight, it passes through an undocumented asteroid belt. Crashing sounds and alarms wake Mills up from his sleep as he rushes to the pilot's seat. Mills straps in and tries his best to maneuver through the field, taking immediate landing actions to the nearest planet. We can see many parts from the spaceship breaking apart, and then it shows the room which contains the crew's cryo chambers. We then witness the back of the ship rip open and cause all of the crew cryo chambers to get tossed out of the spacecraft. We see the Zoic on its way crashing down towards Earth. The scene then switches to Mills gaining consciousness. In the background we hear the navigation system repeat, "Location unknown, trajectory off course." Mills pulls out a small piece of metal shrapnel from his abdomen and uses a futuristic spray to cover his wound. Mills then puts on his spacesuit, gears up, and heads out of what's left of the ship. He starts searching for survivors in the swampy area, only to see he is the only one that survived the crash. However, we see a creature moving in the background in the swamp. Mills then returns to the Zoic to radio Samaras that all passengers were dead with no reason for recovery. We then see him watching videos of his daughter, and then a beeping sound catches his attention. It is one of the 2 missing pods, and it shows the person is alive. He then reaches the pod's location and rescues a girl close to his daughter's age. On the way back to the Zoic, Mills hears strange noises and then sees a footprint the size of a kid's swimming pool. The scene then switches to a space view of the planet Earth 65 million years ago. This tells us that the timeline of our movie is 65 million BC, and Mills, although human, is not from Earth. Mills starts to scan and search for the other half of the ship's crash site and then runs into a large creature's skeleton and a geyser. He then notices a light reflection on some mountains in the distance. It's the rear half of the ship he's looking for. He then checks the distance on a device, which is 15 kilometers. After he puts up the device, Mills has to kill a 2-foot Tyrannosaurus-looking creature after it attacked him. He then starts heading to the crash site, but hears a noise. He checks behind the bushes and sees the girl Koa. She must have followed him. She then runs away, so he chases her, knowing that it isn't safe for her to be out here alone. As he catches up to her, they both end up rolling down a small hill to hear a bunch of flies and see a dead dinosaur body. Then we hear massive footsteps as trees start to fall over, and notice a huge creature walking by. Mills then grabs Koa and runs to the ship. In the next scenes we see Mills tending Koa's injuries she got during her pod's crash landing. We then find out that Koa does not speak English, and Mills says his translator is broken. He then spreads a red powder across a table and uses drawings to tell her they need to get to the other half of the ship on a mountain. Koa says home and draws 2 people figures and expresses she wants home and family. Mills tells her home and family are on the top of the mountain. He then makes a radio call saying a daughter of a family is alive, and we find out she is 9 years old and her parents were passengers and both are deceased. We then flip to the scene to Koa watching videos sent from Mills' daughter Naveen. She starts off happy and excited in the first videos, but then we start to see Naveen's health declining in the last videos, saying how tired she is before Mills comes and turns off the player. There's a long quiet pause, and you can tell from the pain in Koa's face expression that Naveen was getting worse. Due to the mission failing, we can probably assume that Naveen did not get the medical treatment she needed to survive. In our next scene we see Mills gearing up and then explaining to Koa they need to stay quiet and move. We're now following Mills and Koa as they head towards their destination. We hear his device say 12 kilometers left, and then we notice Koa staring at a red meteor in the sky, which she does not point out to Mills. During the journey we see Koa trying to annoy Mills by throwing berries at his back. He ends up turning around to catch one, and then puts it in a machine to test if it's poisonous or not. The device says it's poison, so he makes a funny expression to show her not to eat them. On the way, Koa sees a baby dinosaur stuck in a tar pool. She runs to it and saves it with Mills' help, just to see it get killed by a group of smaller creatures. They end up stopping at a waterfall area and Mills checks his wound, which looks like it's getting infected. As Koa lays down to fill the water container, Mills gets a flashback of his daughter Naveen and him on the beach. Before they start to head off, we see Mills avoiding a flower Koa is trying to put in his hair. We then see Mills walking with a flower in his hair as his device loses signal. He climbs a tree for better signal, but ends up cartwheeling down the tree, dislocating his shoulder when the branch he was standing on snapped. As he struggles with his shoulder, we hear a carnivorous growl coming from just yards away. Just seconds before the dinosaurs had a human lunch, Mills' shoulder pops back in place and like a trained assassin, he starts one-shotting the dinosaurs. He tells Koa to run once he sees how many he's dealing with. We then see Koa run to a beach where two of the dinosaurs are trying to get her, but not before Mills comes back and shoots both just in time. Just when they thought it was over, Koa was grabbed and dragged across the beach by another one of the dinosaurs. Mills emptied his clip in the air while chasing and scared the dinosaur into dropping Koa and running away. Koa then felt some type of way about the planet as she huddled scared against a rock. After a while, Mills cheered her up by making sounds using his hands, just to find out Koa had her own method of making the sound. They set up camp in a cave and using some kind of sensor devices created a circle of protection. Mills then detects the large asteroid with his device while showing Koa that home is in the stars, but he thinks it's probably from the asteroid belt he passed through. They then watch a hologram of his daughter before they go to sleep, and then we hear a memory of Mills' wife telling him Naveen loved him so much and didn't suffer, that she just slipped away, which confirms our suspicion Naveen had passed. Later that night, Mills is woken by the parameter alarms going off to find Koa foaming with a bug lodged in her mouth. After he saves her from that, everything but the alarms are quiet until we see lightning and a silhouette of the mighty giant lizard creature behind them. As they notice the growling and slowly turn around, we see Mills press something on his weapon that looks like he set it for max power after seeing the monster. We then see Koa dive down a small tunnel while Mills fires multiple times in the dinosaur's face, and then he follows Koa down the tunnel. He checks Koa for injuries and then uses his device to find a new exit, but we see a dinosaur start to slowly come out of the shadows once they start moving. Mills improvises when they run into a dead end by using one of his grenades to blast a tunnel. He then shows Koa how to use the grenades and hands her the bag, saying, "Just in case." While crawling through the tunnel, there's an earthquake that causes rocks to separate them. Koa makes it out and Mills is forced back to the end where the dinosaur from the shadows and Mills have a standoff. Mills pulls out his device, turns on proximity alert due to the darkness, and then gets into hand-to-hand combat with the dinosaur. Eventually Mills cheats and turns on a high-pitched sound that generates from his device, causing the dinosaur to screech in pain. Using that as an opportunity, he uses his weapon and eliminates the dinosaur. We're now back to Koa, who's making a poisonous weapon using the berry she was told not to eat. Mills is now out of the cave and starts to scan the asteroid after he notices how much closer it has gotten. Catastrophic asteroid detected, collision imminent. Is this supposed to be the asteroid that wiped out the dinosaurs? We can say Mills knows he is on a time schedule now, though, as he yells out Koa's name in the jungle. Mills gets stuck in some type of quicksand as he's towards Koa screams, who is being chased by small dinosaur with nasty teeth. She uses a hollow log to lure it inside, and then uses the grenade she was given to save herself by blowing up the dinosaur. She then rushes to Mills and saves him using a thick branch to pull him out of the quicksand. After a quick thank you hug, Mills shows Koa the asteroid that is heading for them, telling her it's coming here. We get to see a bit of Koa's knot tying skills during the journey, which Mills congrats her and says good job. Now we see they finally reached the rear half of the ship as Mills does a systems check, while Koa is looking for her family. She walks out to see all the damaged cryochambers and draws stick people while yelling family at Mills. It's a sad moment for Koa as she finally figures out her family did not survive the crash. Her expression shows how deeply hurt and alone she is feeling until Mills shows her a picture of his daughter. He tells Koa that Naveen was mad at him because his job took him away from her, and how he wasn't there for her when she got very sick and passed away. He deeply expresses to Koa that he needs to get her home, and then we can feel the bond of a father and daughter being created. As they prepare for launch, meteor fragments start raining down and damage a section of the ship, causing the escape pod they are in to fall to the ground upside down, knocking Mills unconscious. Koa tries to launch the pod by pressing the launch button, but there is a warning saying launch sequence failure, vessel orientation inoperable. This is probably because their escape pod is upside down. Now we start to hear one of the dinosaur growl again as Mills starts to come to, then the Tyrannosaurus starts to violently attack the vessel. This causes Mills to unbuckle himself and sprint towards his weapon, which is putting out an error when he tries to use it. Right after the creature notices Mills, we see a second one coming out of the shadows heading towards Mills. Mills runs back and hides under a piece of debris while he fixes his weapon. Meanwhile, Koa plays a hologram of Mills' daughter to distract the creatures while Mills takes one out. The second creature ends up attacking the pod and knocks it over upright as Mills uses the last of his ammo on the creature, killing it. The ship has now been oriented and is self-repairing while Mills catches his breath, but the giant from the cave he shot up earlier has returned, and yes, it remembers Mills and looks like it wants revenge. Mills starts to run away from the pod to keep Koa safe while the creature chases him to hot geysers like the ones he ran into earlier. Leaping over a geyser as it starts to spray, Mills just barely makes it over, and it seems like the geyser has killed the creature, until we see that it didn't. Just before the creature turns Mills into a human-sized Twinkie, Koa comes stabbing the creature in the eye using her poisonous weapon she made earlier. This causes the creature to yell in pain as it backs up over a geyser and becomes steamed lizard. We now see Mills and Koa's craft leaving Earth and the asteroid arrives. The movie ends as we see Mill and Koa holding hands after a successful launch. Thanks for watching Recaps by Clade. If you liked the video, please give us a like and subscribe to get notifications of all future content.